let me bring in PK Jain, since he's the one who made 2 points. One, that it's okay if the officer is doing a correct job. Why has the Supreme Court asserted itself in a way that Mr. Jain called shocking? Mr. Jain, that's the first question. And the second question to you is, as an officer, police officers are also often at the victim or at the receiving end, as it were, of political transfers. There should be an attempt to insulate agencies from political transfers. Do you believe that this new law helps in that process or harms that process? Go ahead, PK Jain.
Barka, two things. Mr. Adil has tried to differentiate between Shah Bano's case and this particular case. Let me give my analysis. Shah Bano's case was nullified by an ordinance, and was the triple talaq granted by that gentleman, Shah Bano's husband, nullified? It was not. It was still continued. So, by bringing an ordinance, that particular individual case was not rectified. It did not. That judgment did not stay on course, and the ordinance undid everything that the Supreme Court wanted to do. Similarly, in the case of the second ordinance, in which there was about that conviction of the politicians and all that, the tenure. Who's Rahul Gandhi to come and tear off an ordinance and the government withdrawing it? I mean, somebody should be ashamed of this kind of an act in a democracy like ours. Third thing, as far as the officers are concerned, Barkha, I am very categorically stating this thing. Every government, these government servants are subservient to the government that is in power, be it BJP, be it Congress, be it any other government. Take the case of TMC today. The election officer has got an offense registered against a BJP functionary who had protested against some candidate in the local panchayat tearing off or damaging the ballot papers in the counting hall itself. So everywhere you will find the same story. The government officers are subservient to the government in power. How much can a government servant individually hold his backbone is left to him. Systemically, even the Supreme Court judges are accepting appointments and Rajya Sabha nominations after they retire. I mean, what are we talking of morality? Are we talking of ethics? There are no ethics left. It is, as I said, it's individuals' call on what to take and what not to take, where to stop, where to put a stop to it, and where not to put a stop to it. So therefore, saying that the BJP has done something wrong is absolutely rubbish. It is a question of who is in power, and if an officer has been delivering, if he has been doing a good job, and the ordinance has been brought post the Supreme Court judgment, I think the Supreme Court was grossly wrong in granting, in sticking to their guns of 21 judgment after a new ordinance has been brought, which has been now accepted by the Supreme Court themselves. Had it not been accepted, even the ordinance would have been thrown out, I can understand. But the ordinance has been accepted. The validity of the ordinance, it is only a question of ego that we had given an order in 21 not to promote this, not to extend this particular officer's tenure. I mean, on what basis? If it was done by the government and an ordinance was brought and now the extension has been given, what is wrong in that? I mean, I see no logic in this.
Sanjoy Ghosh, it's only a matter of ego. At one level, Mr. Jain is being very blunt. He's also being very blunt about the fact that for an officer in the bureaucracy, in the police force, everybody has experienced and witnessed either themselves or their colleagues getting what can only be called a political transfer, right? This is the reality. But going back to the Supreme Court judgment and giving you, as it were, the last word, do you believe the Supreme Court has acted from ego? Because is it the judge's job to say हमने ये कहा तो आपको करना पड़ेगा, or is it the judge's job to interpret the law? And if the law or the process of amending the law is in violation of the original directive, then why not read down that law? I'm a bit confused. How do you uphold the law but say that the first order is in violation of our diktat?
See, first of all, just a point of correction, Mr. Jain has no idea of what Shah Bano case was. It did not relate to triple talaq at all. It related to maintenance.
Alimony. Right. Yes.
So therefore, there was no question of bringing an ordinance or any law to undo triple talaq. But I agree, the Muslim Women's Protection of Rights Act was atrocious. But anyways, as a point of correction, I don't join issue. I agree with him on the issue of the Supreme Court order being wrong. In fact, the Supreme Court should have taken this as a matter of ego. I've never come across, please understand, the writ issued yesterday by the Supreme Court is a writ of quo warranto. It's a Latin term which means by what authority? Under what authority are you holding this office illegally? I have never seen any constitutional court giving a quo warranto which is deferred. He should have immediately asked to vacate office then and there. What is this business of giving him till 31st July to vacate office?
The government said it's smooth, it was for smooth transition because
We
there
have
is
had
an
a prime minister.
FTF.
We have had a prime minister assassinated. We have had a prime minister die in Tashkent. We have had much more tragedies in the country, and the country goes on. Where's the question of giving 20 days to a person who's illegally holding an office to adjust and make amends? I'm sorry. In fact, the Supreme Court, having concluded that its own order was violated, instead of hauling for contempt, and instead of directing the person to immediately vacate office, has given him till 31st July. In fact, I'm sorry, I don't agree with Mr. Jain. The Supreme Court has not shown ego at all. It should have shown ego.
It's partially shown it, right? It's partially shown it. No, Sanjoy, that's the point.
Barkha, let me again explain. There is no contradiction in this. Please understand that judicial function is to deal with individual cases. Legislative function is to deal with policy. The legislature cannot by law undo an individual verdict. For example, if there is a verdict which says Barkha Dutt has to leave the studio premises, the rent is over, tenancy is over, you leave it. The legislature can't make a law by saying that notwithstanding the court order, Barkha Dutt doesn't have to leave. That order will have no effect. It cannot do that. So therefore, they can make a law generally saying that yes, all people who run YouTube channels should be given notices. In future, they should be given extra days to vacate. All those things you can do. But that individual case of Barkha Dutt has to be governed by the court order. She can go to the court and ask for a review. She can file a curative petition to get that review also gone through by a larger bench of the court. But a legislature can't take over the judicial function. And it will be anarchy if today I'm appalled that a retired person from the police service, instead of, as you rightly red flagged the issue of, we have been fighting for so many years to insulate the force.
Okay, let me.
No party has done that.
Let me allow Mr. Jain a quick word. I was going to close, but I must allow him a quick word since you have said that in reference to him. Mr. Jain, brief last word.
See, the National Police Commission report was accepted sometime in the early 80s. And till today, it has been only namesake. It has been implemented in 5-6 areas. And there also the implementation is so shoddy. One should be ashamed of that kind of an implementation and the court getting satisfied over whatever the state governments have done. Nobody gives two hoots to what the Supreme Court has ordered. And it's only it's only a kind of a face wash that has been presented to the court and the public. That is one.
Yeah.
And secondly, Mr. Sanjoy has stated about, saying that individual judgments cannot be neutralized. I am aware of the judgments in Maharashtra where the high courts have given particular judgments in terms of demolitions of encroachments, in terms of some land related matters.
Yeah.
And the government has given them, had regularized them by way of a government order. These judgments specifically passed by the Honorable High Court has been regularized by giving special discounts to the person concerned. So individuals, if he says that the individual cases cannot be dealt with by the government, the order has to be followed. Even that has not been done. I'm making a statement.